Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Corporation of the Town of Laurentian Hills special meeting of council. This Monday, June 8th at 2 p.m. So good afternoon. But first, before we go into things, I'd like to make a roll call, please. Madam CAO.
I'll do a roll call in order of wards. Ward 1, Councillor Bruce Boucher.
Present. Present.
2, Deputy Mayor Anne Giardini. Ward 3, Councillor Brenda Blimke.
Here.
Ward 4, Councillor John Hoyle.
I'm here.
And just to let everybody else know, in council chambers, besides Mayor Ryan Wald, is our Public Works Superintendent Scott Luce, our deputy, not our deputy, our fire chief, Kevin Wado, the deputy clerk, treasurer, Tammy Whalen, and myself.
Thank you very much. Is there a declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof?
No.
See none. We'll move on to our proposed 2020 budget. But before we move on, I just want to make a couple of notes here. Firstly, I'd like to thank staff for preparing this comprehensive budget. And also thank you to all the departments for reviewing and providing their inputs prior to this meeting. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this in a reasonable fashion. And so now we as council staff are here to do a review of this 2020 budget. And so we're going to start off, instead of page 1 of 11, we're going to start off with the fire department's report, our page on page 6, and then the public works with Scott on page 7. So we can carry on from there. Madam CAO. So we'll start on page 6.
Okay, got it. Okay, usually we have all the line items. There's those things we can't change. Just go to the capital items that we have for this year. If I'm going too fast, just stop me. We have pagers and radios, which we usually get every year. This year we have budgeted $3,050. Then we're looking at a training area in Chalk River behind the fire hall. We have to get an area cleared, which is $5,000. Fencing for security, which is $10,750, and a C-can that we can use there for a total of $18,250. Bunker gear, boots and gloves at $10,000, and then our hydro line coming out from our communications tower. We're looking at $4,000 there to have a company come in and level it so our public works can do it with their own equipment. This $4,000 won't do the whole thing, but it'll give us an idea how far we're going with it. And then we'll figure out how much we can do in the next year or two. Anything else? That's it for me.
Couldn't follow you, Kevin, because you didn't give us any numbers. I can't find the 18,000.
That's the three numbers together, the 5,000, 10,750, and 2,500. That comes out to a total of 18,250.
Can you let us know which line items those are, Kev?
Yes, we can do that from.
So that is line item 257, 258.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, I see that. That's the 20K.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Kevin. And so we'll move on to page 7 for the Public Works. And Scott, could you take us through that, please?
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question of Kevin
Sure.
before we move on? So your second rescue truck, when is that supposed to come in?
That should be in probably in the next month and a half.
Okay.
They've been sending pictures every couple of weeks just to update me. They're just at the point now of putting on the roll-up doors on the box. Then they got to put the truck underneath the box and attach it all. So I'm figuring another month and a half.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lemke. We can move on to page 7 to Public Works. Scott. And I'm asking if maybe at the end of, if you could hold off our questions until the end of, and then that way, I think it'll make it a little smoother. And we'll put ourselves on mute while Scott is speaking. Thank you.
I was trying to follow him on lines and I couldn't, so that's why I interrupted, because I couldn't follow him. He didn't tell me where he was on the page. I was lost. There's no reason I asked.
Can't hear you, Bruce.
Sorry, the only reason I asked is I couldn't follow him on the page because he didn't tell us where he was. It's the only reason I asked where he was on the page, just to catch up.
Just for council's, just wanted to note that Scott's going to, he's not going to be running through all the routine items. He'll be just looking at, the bigger ticket items. We'll go through that after any of the routine stuff. So we'll make it a little smoother for everyone. Okay. Okay, Scott, take her away.
Hello, everyone. So they said we'll just go through some of the bigger items. I can glance through some of it. The signs and culverts is the same as it is every year. Vehicle repairs, there's nothing that stands out in there. Calcium's the same. Winter's salt and sand's the same. Shop supplies mostly the same. Training, there's not much in there. Rental services, just normal trucks and rental costs for that, snow hauling and whatever. For equipment repairs, there's not a whole lot in there either. Everything's in pretty good shape this year. Buildings, we have a little bit of work to do on our point garage. And we plan on putting some poultry fencing up at the Chalk River sand shed just to keep some of the birds and stuff out. For part of the capital purchases this year for equipment, we're just looking at a handy hitch, which is a roller packer that goes on the back of the grader. That's one of the main things we're looking at. And last year I'd mentioned the steamer unit, and one of our steamers actually sprung a leak this year and completely rotted out. So that's what we're looking at for that stuff. And then down for roads, what we're planning to do, weather provided, and whatever. I know we're behind this year already, so we're going to do our best with that. Is Forestry Road, which was a carry from last year, which is actually getting started this Wednesday to pulverize and get it ready. And we got some crack repairs, Kellett Street and Chalk River to pave along the rink and to get a swale there for the water runoff. Pave the entrance to Sand Road, which is a carry again from last year. And to do some landscaping and some repaving of the parking lot at the Chalk River Library that was never fully repaired after the building was repaired that time. So we just got to do some cleanup and stuff there. Surface treatment roads, we just have to fix an area on the Wiley Road, and then we're going to be doing some repairs and top coating on Mill Yard, Blimke Street, Violet Street, and Miller's Road. That's what the hopes are this year. Gravel roads, we've just been adding a bit of gravel. The first load of calcium went down today. We have another load on Friday and a third load on Monday. So by the start of next week, we'll be all cleaned up with that. We got a bit more work to do on Sand Road as well with the pavement skirt there. And we're looking at some crushing and some work to be done in our pit to hopefully come up with some new areas that we can extract some material from. That's pretty much it for that budget. And then for the recreation side, we're just looking up cleaning up some of the areas. Chalk River Rink, we got to finish some painting, make some flooding, some hose racks. We got to put some porta potties back out. The only piece of equipment we're really looking at for recreation would be a small little 4-wheel drive tractor with a cutting deck and a small bucket on it, something we can use to working around the park so we're not wrecking the lawns and stuff. A nice light machine for that. Plus it doubles as something we can cut grass, and all of our other implements would still work on it as well from our old tractor. So that's $25,000 for that tractor. On the ball fields, we're just looking at some normal work in there. We have to do some sprinkler repairs, which I was talking to them today, so hopefully they'll be up soon to get some of that done. And then build the bleacher systems that we purchased last year that we never had a chance to build, and then put some new benches in the dugouts. The park that we plan on working on this year, which again was sort of a carryover from last year, was Guzman Park. So we're looking at taking some danger trees out from in there, digging around some structures, putting some wood chip in, taking some trees along the front down to allow for visibility, putting up new basketball nets and installing some fencing and stuff there. Other than that, that's pretty much what we're looking at this year. It's pretty simple, pretty quick. We'll just hope we can get as much done as we're trying anyways. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Are there any questions? Being none, then we'll move on to
Just a sec. Wait.
Sorry. No?
So I just want to know, do you have your students started yet, Scott? Are we doing students? Having them?
We are. We don't have anyone started as of yet. That's in the very near future.
Okay, but it's in your budget, so, all right. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, being none, Sherry, I get you to take us to the top and carry it, run us through.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. So if we go back to your budget, your proposed budget on page 1 shows the revenues that we receive. From taxation, all classes, we received $3.1 million. From payments in lieu of taxes, we received just over $400,000. We have various grants that we receive, our gas tax grant, our OCIF funding, our OMPF funding, that comes to just under $400,000. We receive a small grant for our public works students, and we receive some money for fire protection that we extend to a neighboring municipality, Swisha, just across the bridge. We have a small amount of money come in for a kennel registration. We have one in our municipality. We received some environmental grants, which is our Blue Box Ontario. We have a small amount of money coming in for bag tags and landfill-free fees. So continuing on page 3, shows us other revenues that come in, interest and fees that we collect on penalty and interest, compliance certificates, tax certificates, our interest that we earn on our own investments, a little bit of money from marriage licensing. We have planning fees that we collect for permits issued. We've budgeted a lot less this year than last year, just due to the year that we're having so far. Miscellaneous revenue is a small amount, just over $41,000, and that comes in from some rental fee that we get, our memorial bench program, and we get a nursery school grant from the County of Renfrew. We're transferring out from our gas tax reserves a very small amount this year. $190,000 of our modernization fund will be used this year. The remainder of our Main Street revitalization funding will be used this year, plus our surplus. So our total revenue for the year is $4,771,326.
Does anybody have any questions so far on pages 1 2, and 3, right? Okay. Could you please continue, Sharon?
So continuing on as to our expenditures proposed for 2020, we have council, which is our honorarium, our payroll costs. We have a small amount this year in for training. We don't know what the rest of the year is going to look like. Hopefully there are some opportunities that council can take advantage of. And we have budgeted for integrity commissioner investigations. That is, so the total amount is up a little bit from last year. Moving on to general government, we have our set costs for salary, WSIB, payroll burden, our OMERS, and that reflects a 1.5% increase in salaries. This year, it's a little bit higher than what you're used to seeing because there are 27 pay periods in this year. And that is something that you'll only see every 11 years. So we have budgeted for some computer equipment, our service contract that we have, our utilities, all departments, we've budgeted 5% increase on utilities in all departments. And that seems to work for us year after year. We come in pretty close to what we've budgeted. We have our audit costs every year. We have bank service charges. We have legal fees this year, a little bit higher over last year's. This year we have a line item for COVID-19. We've incurred some expenses with buying PPE and making our building accessible to the public again with certain precautions put in place. And we have some computer software upgrades planned. Are there any questions from council on that department?
One quick one. So one of the things I wanted to ask about was we had talked a while back before, the coronavirus happened and we were not doing big meetings about replacing council computers at some point.
Sorry, Brenda?
Yes?
I had difficulty hearing you.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I think my paper was covering the speaker.
Okay.
Okay, so back, and I believe it was probably around in January, we talked about new computers for council. And I wonder where we are on that. I find with the computer now, since we have upgraded with Windows 10, the computer doesn't seem to handle it as well as before, and it's slowed it down considerably. Is there any plans for that? It's been a while since we've had these computers.
So it was not included in this year's budget, but that is certainly an adjustment that council can make.
Okay, well, I'm, asking for it. I'll leave it up to the rest of council to decide whether they think it's something we should do this year or not. But I'm for it.
I'll second that because mine is pretty good. Did you get me?
Yep.
Yep. John, you were...
I agree, yes.
Sorry? You're on mute, John.
Yes, I agree with them, Jed, that we should go ahead.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm in favor. I don't know if it'll do any difference because everything is so slow. I don't know that it's the computer or just the internet.
Well, I found that the computer slowed down when we first got that upgrade. So, and okay. I do agree that the internet could be slow right now too because of overuse, but I had found that it had slowed down quite a bit.
Okay.
So why use my own home computer instead of the township one? Because it's too slow and mine is a lot faster. And mine is 10 years old.
Well, there you go.
Just saying.
Okay.
So we take a look at that, put it in. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, we'll move forward.
At the bottom of the page, some of the projects that we have planned this year is we are undergoing a service review currently. We'll be undergoing a drainage review for the village of Chalk River, an asset management plan, and as a partner of the Pembroke Area Airport, there are some fuel tanks that need replaced, so we budgeted for that. If we move on to page 5.
Brenda has a question.
Brenda, you have a question? Oh. Brenda, you're on mute.
I thought I clicked it. But anyway, I'm looking at the revenue reviews Sherry just talked about, whatever. And I was wondering if we're going
Brenda,
to
is
be
your,
upping our strategic plan.
Brenda, is your mic covered again? We can barely hear you.
I don't know why. Hello? Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Okay, I don't know why you're having a hard time. I don't know what to say. Okay, so I was just wondering if we will be revising our strategic plan at all to see where we are on a lot of the different line items that we have planned for.
That is, it's not really part of the budget, Brenda, but your answer is yes.
Okay, so we will do that at some point in 2020?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Bruce, you have a question?
When me and Brenda had talked earlier at their first meeting, we were looking at this airport fuel tanks. We thought that was a lot of money to be given the airport.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
I'm trying to dig into it. Me and Brenda had talked earlier in our budget meetings about this airport for the $30,000. We thought it was a little bit high.
It's $30,000. That was the amount that was agreed to through the, what was it called? Through the airport commission. And money was being used through I think it was the infrastructure fund. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, but did our council agree to give them $30,000?
Can't hear. I can't hear you, Bruce.
Can anybody else hear me?
It's very faint.
So when you couldn't hear Brenda, I could hear Brenda really well. So I think it's maybe your volume's not up. But anyway, I'm just asking, did we vote on this $30,000?
He wants to vote on the $30,000.
Oh, you want to? Okay, let's vote on it then. Who's all in favor of the 30K going to the Pembroke Area Airport Commission to install the fuel tanks? The airport, which we're part owners of. Could I see a show of hands? See one?
So I have thought about it since our meeting, Bruce, and because we're partners with the airport, either we opt in or we opt out at this time, and the fuel tanks are part of the deal. So I am going to say I'm in favor of it.
Okay, I'm going to renege because I don't think we should be a part of the airport commission.
That's 4 against. Okay. And I'm 4, so that's 3, 4, 1 against, and we've lost John. So we'll move forward with it. Thank you. Sherry,
Thank you.
Please.
We're now on page 5. We have our OPP costs, and we are participating in a community wellness plan with neighboring municipalities. We have our planning division. You'll see on line 211, we have our salary costs, our WSIB, payroll board, and OMERS in there. We have a small amount for mileage, some supplies, and some membership and training fees for our CBO. Economic development, we have very low fees in there every year, $850. If we move on to page 6, this is the fire department. The chief talked about his planned projects for this year. At the opening of the budget statement are things like salary, honorarium, WSIB, utilities, our insurance. There's a little bit of money for fire and prevention, communications, and the projects that the chief talked about, as well as our licensing, vehicle operations, and repairs. Those numbers are pretty static compared to other years. Overall, his budget is down by almost $70,000 this year. Any questions? So if we move on to page 7, this is the Public Works Department. Again, you have salary costs. You have, we've planned for a part-time person for 6 months. We've planned for summer students. They've not been hired, but as soon as we get the okay from council on our budget, we will bring them on. A small amount for conference fees in there. The Public Works Superintendent plans in the fall to attend a conference, provided it is still a goal. We have our communications, our utilities, rentals year after year, licensing. We have some pit training, and the culverts and vehicle operations and repairs. Those numbers are pretty static from previous years. Shop supplies, building maintenance, the projects that the Public Works Superintendent touched on. And again, his budget is down this year by just over $200,000. Are there any questions?
Bruce, do you have a question?
Yes, on item, was in Sherry's notes, Josie Lane, they added another $10,000.
Can't hear you at all.
Josie Lane, they added another $10,000. I just wondered what it was for. I thought it was done last year.
This is the unpaved portion of Josie Road at the top.
Okay, thank you. You just answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Sherry, please.
We go down to the bottom of the page. We have our street lights, our hydro costs, which, as council knows, since we switched to our LED lights, it's been a significant savings. We've budgeted a small amount on par with the previous years for repairs. Our green plan, and so that budget comes in at $18,000. Page 8, that is for our contracts. It is under environment. It's our garbage contract, our recycling contract, our tipping fees that we pay to the Ottawa Valley Waste Recovery Center. We have our contract with the NORLOB, the landfill board. We have a small amount of work to do at our turnaround that we plan to close off Highway 17. And we have our closure costs for Buchanan and Bass Lake landfills. That's the monitoring fees that we do there. We have, due to the water and sewer, as a user of the water and sewer, we contribute to the Chalk River billings. We have a small amount, our 5% increase that we pay to the airport, some travel costs in there. Culture, we have our library board that we pay, and we have our Main Street grant that we want to spend the remainder of there. We have $85,000 that we pay out of our general budget to recreation for projects that the Public Works Superintendent touched on with you earlier. And we have some paving in the library parking lot. So that budget too is also down this year. Any questions on that page?
Yeah. Any questions on that page? Page 8? None? Okay, moving on. Oh, sorry, Brenda, are you talking?
Yeah, sorry. So you mentioned the turn off to, can you hear me okay? So you mentioned the turn off on the highway. I was going to ask about that. So what are we planning there? Because we cleaned it up last year because of the dumping. So what's happening there? Are we closing that off altogether now or?
We are planning to ditch that and mark it as a closed turnaround.
Okay, thank you.
Oops. Any? Okay.
And? Okay, so we're moving on to page 9. And page 9 is health and social services. You'll see that we have budgeted to pay the grants that council normally gives out every year. Increase this year is our physician recruitment costs. As you know, you had a presentation and they asked if you would consider increasing your contribution this year. That is budgeted for. We have some Chalk River Nursery wages, WSIB, payroll burden, and we have some money budgeted from the county to spend there. We have utilities in our license. And then we move down on the page and you see the provisions to reserves. What we plan on putting the into reserves this year. We have budgeted $779,000 to reserves, which is down from previous year of $900,000. So that brings our total expenditures to $4.771, $326,000, which matches our revenues. Are there any questions?
Bruce, you have a question?
I have a couple. So the first line, the Lions Hall, last year we gave 3,500. I thought
Sorry,
that was
Bruce, I cannot hear you.
Brenda, can you hear me? Yeah. I'll try again, Jed. The Lions Hall, line 367. Last year we gave a 3,500 for 1 year, and this year we're giving them back 36.
600 of that is for the magician show, and they came back this year and asked for an additional $3.
$600 for a magician show?
Yes, and we sponsor that every year.
I don't understand, Sherry, if it's $3,600 for one magician show. That's a lot of money.
$600 of that is the magician show. The Lions this year requesting council to sponsor them for $3,000.
So the answer to me is no, right? Okay. Seniors plowing. When we had talked to Tammy, maybe we should just give them some instead of just $10,000.
So that was not a discussion of council of the whole.
No, but it could be, no?
Absolutely, if council wants to discuss that, we do away with the seniors program and come up with another program.
So when would we bring that up? Wouldn't we bring that up today?
I guess that's up to council.
Bruce, I'm having a very difficult time understanding you. I can't hear you at all. Everything is very muffled. I'm really not sure what you were saying.
Okay, never mind.
So Jed, I can hear Bruce quite well. I'm wondering if it's something to do from your end.
So what's the question?
From me or Bruce?
From Bruce and from you if you have one.
Well, I was just saying that I can hear Bruce very good. So I'm wondering if you're having a problem from your end hearing us.
Oh, I see. I hear you fairly clearly.
That's because I'm shouting.
So am I.
Okay, maybe it's me. I don't know.
Can Tammy?
Right now, you are muted, Bruce.
Yeah, it said the host muted me.
I can hear better now. Okay.
So
We're back.
when we were talking in budget, we were talking about the $10,000 for senior plowing. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So it was suggested that maybe we should just give these people so much money and they could hire their own plow operator. Because some of these driveways are getting like they're $2,000. They're not a $2,000 driveway.
Yeah.
So what do you think if we give them so
Comments
much
with
money?
that? Brenda, any comments?
I remember having that discussion at our Public Works review of the budget, and I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
We would just have to set amount, say $750 or $1,000 for each driveway instead of $2,000.
Okay with that? Okay, we'll do the numbers.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's good.
Okay, thank you. Moving on.
So that brings us to page 10, which is the recreation budget. And outside of what the Public Works Superintendent covered is just your utilities and regular maintenance that we do every year on Mountain View, Quarry Lake, Berks, and Tea Lake, and Ancrossen Park. And of course, we still have our figured amount in there for the boat launch. Are there any questions on that page? So we'll move on to page 11, which is the water and sewer budget. And as you can see, the water and sewer budget, we have some items that we are going to purchase. There is some flushing and camera work that is going to be done. But our biggest expense there is our contract that we have with Veolia. And it is a balanced budget, providing for the reserves and no increase in the water and sewer rate plan for this year.
Okay, any questions on that? Brenda? Council.
So I just wanted to ask about what our plans are reviewing the sewage treatment plant options that we have.
Sure.
And any upgrades or whatever, like when are we going to commence with that?
So my understanding is that we did that review with council twice, and that staff was told to apply for an ICI grant.
I'm sorry, Sherry, I couldn't hear you. You have a ringing sound.
So my understanding is that we did review twice, and then staff was given the go-ahead and the authorization to apply for an ICI.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I just didn't see anything in here, so I didn't know where we were going with that. Okay, that's great.
Yes, and that would be connected to the annual water and sewer budget.
Okay.
So that grant has been sent out, and we're waiting for a response. Anything else? Okay.
I don't have anything on water and sewage, but I have something else for the budget. I don't know if we're able to do that yet. Is that okay? So one of the things that I wanted to ask about was, can you hear me?
Is this something new?
Yes.
Well, we'll hear you.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask about, and I didn't hear it said or see it in the budget, and I could have missed it, but I thought we were kind of talking about doing a new web page. And are we going to have somebody do that for us? Are we going to hire somebody to maintain it?
I think that part of our service review and the recommendations that are coming back, we ask people about our website on the survey. And once that comes back, I think council can make a decision on that.
Okay, so we don't have money in the budget for it. Is it something maybe we want to allot a couple of $1,000 for, and if we don't use it, we don't use it?
I think the staff needs to do a little research into what we need for a website. and get some figures for the following budget.
Okay.
And you had your hand up? You have to raise it higher. I'm not sure what Dan was trying to say.
Hear anything?
Oh, can't hear? Well, we're almost at the end. Okay, folks, that's the budget. It's unfortunate, and we see your video, but we can't hear your audio. I guess we'll carry on. So that's it for the budget. So we'll move to the next item on the budget. So I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Bruce Boucher, seconded by Brenda Blimke. Be it hereby resolved that this council of the town of Laurentian Hills approves and authorizes staff to apply for a grant opportunity with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program for the Asset Management Program Development in Laurentian Hills. Be it therefore resolved that the town of Laurentian Hills commits to conducting the following activities in its proposed project submitted to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program to advance our asset management program. O.Reg 588/17 Complaint Assessment Management Plan, Asset Data Work, Condition and Collection Program and Templates. Be it further resolved that the town of Laurentian Hills commits $13,000 from its budget towards this cost of initiative. Any discussion? All in favor? And carried. And that pretty much concludes our meeting for today. So could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Brenda Blimke, seconded by Bruce Boucher. Be it hereby resolved, the special meeting of Council of the Town of Laurentian Hills does now adjourn at 2:48 p.m. All in favor? You in favor, Brenda? And carried. And that ends our